So a lot of these things I feel like it's easy for me to say because I now like work at a good tech company, I work at whatever, so it gives me the sense of credibility, but it hasn't always been this way. So disclaimer, I'm so thankful for all the kind messages that you've been sending me on Instagram and on LinkedIn, and I screenshot them because I'm so thankful for all the nice things you've been saying. But at the same time, I feel like this journey towards whatever goals that we're on, everyone's going to have a different life experience and hence affecting their journeys. So, I don't want to speak on anyone else's behalf. I hope for the sake of transparency, this video could just help you be a bit more transparent in this whole YouTube bubble space of everyone seeming to post their best highlight reels and everything. So I feel like a lot of my audience right now are people who are in UX or trying to transition into UX. And to give a bit of background about what got me into UX is, so first, if you might have already known, I'm an undergrad third year design student at Parsons School of Design. I never thought I would be in UX like ever. Back in 2018 when I applied as a freshman, I came in with the intention that I was gonna be in fashion design for the rest of my life. But first year happened, I tried, getting my foot in the door, like hustling a lot because that's what I just heard that you're supposed to do. And a lot of the internship experiences or the gigs that I got, it was so much physical labor, and for all of them, I never got paid anything for my time, effort, or energy that I was giving to these places. Going into this design school was such a huge deal for me, of helping me affirm that if I worked hard, I could achieve what I set in mind. But at the same time, Parsons, it's a private school, and if you put a sticker price on Parsons, it's $250,000 for this. It costs $250,000 for 4 years of this design school. And, I don't come from like a super well-off background. My parents are immigrants from South Korea. We had to move around a lot, and we weren't like in a super best standing just to easily go to the school. And although I got a really decent scholarship to come here for fashion design, still like seeing all the things that it took to get to this point, yet, if I was not able to pay off all that debt from coming to this expensive ass school, I just feel like it wouldn't be worth it. So with that, I decided to switch my major from fashion design in freshman year to communication design, my major now, beginning sophomore year. January of my sophomore year, I was looking up like, top 10 most in-demand skills of 2020, or I think it was 2019, whatever at that time. And I saw that web design, UX design, was one of them. And also at that time at my church, I had a youth leader who was like kind of an older mentor towards me, who was also a UX lead at this really nice architecture company also in New York City. That was the first time I actually heard about UX design. But 9 months later, when I decided to switch industries altogether, and this last thing that pushed me over the edge was this video by Dan Locke, where he's just talking about his perspective on what it means to pursue your passion and how that translates to like a full-time career. And as soon as I saw that video, I looked at like, my kind of life goals that I had at that time of, wanting something a bit more stable. And it was at that night in January, sophomore year, where I was just like, what, I'm just going to pursue UX design. So the part where I decided to pursue FAANG was not too shortly after deciding to go into UX. 2 weeks later, after I decided to switch, I wrote down in my notebook, by the time I graduate, I will either work here or I'm going to work at another similar place. Let me actually try to find it. This was like May of 2020. I wrote it down in like kind of my prayers of like, I will create whatever portfolio for XYZ. But yeah, anyways, first even daring to say to myself, I can and I'm able to accomplish this. By the way, this is also to say, I had no idea like how to do UX. I didn't know how to use Figma. I didn't even know what Figma was. I didn't know what Sketch was, any of the softwares I should do. I never touched UX in my life. But I said to myself, you don't know how to do this yet. You're telling yourself you're gonna work at this place. You have no idea how you're gonna do it, but if you just keep researching, keep trying, it is going to happen. And I just internalized that, and I just believed it, that either that or something very similar was going to happen. I even think just having the audacity to like think that I was even capable of accomplishing something like that when I still had, you know, so much to learn from it, gave me the confidence to even try going down that route. So then there comes this struggle of, okay, you decided to switch. Now, what are you gonna do? Where do you even go? What do you do? And I had that question. Yes, I go to design school and they have a more UX defined pathway within my major. But then again, I was still in my sophomore year. We weren't even gonna go into our specified majors till the year after. And the thing I've done was, first is Googling the quote-unquote really dumb questions. I literally would search into Google how to get into FAANG, 10 tips for FAANG UX designers, how to become a UX designer. And I would have all these tabs open on my Google Chrome, and I would spend multiple days I still had class and stuff, but as much time as I can over the span of like a full 3 months, just looking up as many YouTube tutorials as possible, as many articles, Medium articles as possible, anything I could find online just to grasp even what this new major UX thing even was. And afterwards, you know, I think it was really good timing because although Corona has been such a detriment in so many different ways, at the same time I feel academically it helped me more easily decide to take a gap year, and within that gap year to take a UX bootcamp. I felt really scared to take this UX bootcamp. These bootcamps are marketed for people who already graduated with an undergrad and they're already in their careers, but they're doing a full transition thing. And I thought I was way too young to take a bootcamp like that. But then again, I thought to myself, like, no, that's just a self-limiting thought. It's just a thought. There's nothing stopping you from taking that boot camp. Sure, you might be the youngest of them, but that doesn't mean you're not as serious about the transition or you're not going to work as hard as them. So I didn't let my age stop me from what I wanted to do. And so I signed up the next month for Springboard after a bunch of just researching of what boot camps to take. And yeah, long story short, I chose Springboard because they had this mentor who was from FAANG, and I thought, you know, if I could get feedback from someone from FAANG, I think it would just be like more helpful to within my portfolio creation. Now, granted, it was such a struggle of trying to even just grasp and like jump into this whole UX thing, and I'm thankful because the projects that I had to make within Springboard, we had to make like 4 projects, I think. I looked at the entire syllabus, curriculum, whatever, and it seemed that most time of within that bootcamp is going to be dedicated towards this first UX project. You're going to be learning UX while actually doing the project. And I thought to myself, well, I try to like map it out of if these 3 projects after this first project is not going to be as much time, but I really want to make a FAANG worthy portfolio. Although I've never officially done UX, I need to go ham on this project. You know, I also made that really clear to my mentor. I set my intentions really straight, being like, hey, you know, it's my dream to really work here, so whatever feedback, if we're like 6 weeks into the project, but if something happens where I have to start the project all over again from scratch, like I told him I'm literally willing to do that. And I think, you know, my mentor appreciated that and everything, so our conversations was super to the point and like very tactical and super helpful. But first, making that UX project was such a struggle because it's the first time you're dipping your toes and actually doing the thing, but you don't know, although you're like given instructions from the boot camp or wherever, you still don't know if what you're doing is right or like if you're doing the right steps or if you're missing anything. Eventually, looking back now and to that point, it's really, if it's like your first time jumping into UX, or if you're still within this transition of UX, if you feel lost, good. That's a good thing. And I took it as, if I don't feel lost within my first project, I started too late. And I think thinking in that way eliminated all of this fear that I have of, oh, am I gonna like make the right step, or am I gonna make the right move, like keep overthinking it, right? But it's not, you can only think so much to a point if it's your first time, but really, like, instead of thinking about it, you just need to do it. And once you do it, you find that outcome, you get feedback on it, but you aren't able to get such good feedback if you don't have that actual like thing to show whatever mentor, like get feedback or whatever. So I told myself, you know what? I know I'm lost. I know I still don't know, kind of know what I'm doing because this is so new, but it's normal. I'm feeling lost, and that's a good thing. It means I'm learning. Staying motivated throughout this process, I felt it was not as hard for me to stay motivated because, like, I felt my purpose for going into this boot camp, or like just deciding to transition into UX, and having a very clear idea of what I want to get out of it, and just thinking ultimately I just know what I have to do to get where I want to be, and I just do it. I know that I have to struggle. I know that I have to feel lost to dive into this like new area. And I feel that what really helped me most was this quote by Stephen Covey. He was the author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and he said to that these effective people always began with the end in mind. I know that I'm going to have to redo parts of this project a couple of times to get it right. I compared like all the struggles of, not getting it the first time, or like needing to redo a survey, or need to redo this wireframe again, to that pain, to like the eventual outcome and like joy that I'll face of having a really great project and portfolio that can get me to the next level, made going through those road bumps so much easier to get past. So always like beginning with the end in mind, remembering your why you started, and once you keep that end in mind, reverse engineer everything. So if I want to get here, then what are the small baby steps to get to that eventual point, really helps me to stay motivated throughout this entire process. Of course, maybe some people doing whatever major transitions, and you're now this new major, sometimes like it's inevitable you're gonna have that sort of pressure, and I definitely felt this pressure to like succeed and like get whatever like thing that I was going for. And I was just like, man, if I don't get this thing, would be going to my private school be worth it? Would taking this boot camp be worth it? And so I had this underlying thought in the back of my mind of, if I'm gonna commit this extra like student debt to take this boot camp, I have to make it worth it. And looking back at it now, that was probably not the most healthy way to think about it, because it did lead me to burnout halfway through my boot camp. Long story short, I was working so intensely, like literal without breaks. I counted all the Google hour time blocks that I was working. I was working a solid 10 hours a day, and that is really unhealthy. At most you should work maybe 6-7 hours a day. But eventually, I did all the work that I could to the best of my ability. I had this portfolio. I had I was starting to make my own UX resumes and stuff, and it was time for me to apply for internships. I applied to, I think, 17 places for summer internships, got rejected from every single one of them. It felt so discouraging just to like keep hearing rejection after rejection, no one replying back to you, or just hearing another rejection letter, and it was like this whole thing. But something I'm so thankful for, and it quite literally like almost changed my life, was I connected with this UX designer from Colgate the December before finishing the boot camp and applying for internships. And she reached out to me asking if I was interested in a summer internship. And I was like, oh yeah, sure. And after a bit more of talking, she gave me a chance to be interviewed by her and her team. And that was the only place that even offered me an interview, and the only place that offered me an internship for that summer. Out of the entire 17-20 internships that I applied for, all rejected, not even invited to a single interview, just like by luck, or I believe by God, it gave me that one single chance that I was looking for. And this is not to say oh man, but you just got lucky and whatever. And yeah, I think part of it was luck, but at the same time, this is all just to say that you don't need so many yeses. You only need that one single chance. Literally just that one yes that could change so many things for you. I just happened to get that yes through a more, lucky encounter. So I do my first official UX design internship last summer. I take that portfolio, I take that case study, I take my original case study from Springboard, present those two projects again to this time a new set of interviews, And now, after almost a full 2 years of deciding to commit into UX, I finally am now in the place that I imagined myself to be 2 years prior. You know, I'm still thinking, like, man, I can't believe I'm actually here. I remember going every day on this like Cofolia's website of all these like, you know, FAANG interns being at these like amazing places. And I'm just like, dang, like, will I ever, like, when will could I ever like be, you know, featured in like a website like that or create a portfolio worthy of, you know, working at like those types of places. And even during the interviews, I think what helped was, you know, it's like it was so much pressure because I felt like that was my only sort of like chance to get into whatever place I want to get into. But then my brother told me this thing that really helped me calm my anxiety of there's literally so many opportunities out there. You can't just narrow your mindset to like these, you know, top like 10 or top 5 like whatever places. So if you get in, good. But if you don't get in, good. Either way, it's a good experience. You either get the job or you just gain experience. That's it. Don't take it personally. It's just a numbers game. So as long as you try your best, it really it doesn't matter. You know, during my boot camp, I was working so hard, like 10 hours a day. Literally, I almost got hospitalized because I felt the room was spinning because I was just like so intensely working and overworking for days on end. And I thought to myself, you know, well, if I don't do that, I feel then I'm not trying my best. And I'm sad that it took me this long to realize it, but it helps to know that what does it mean to try your best. And my sibling told me that it's going to depend on the situation, but trying your best for that particular instance, trying your best just means doing it to the point where you won't regret it. So it's like it's not worth getting like 4 hours of sleep before an interview. If it's the day before an interview, like it's better to get a full night's rest than to like cram to like 3 in the morning trying to prepare all the decks and stuff, because you know the next day you're you know you're on video call or you're on call speaking to this person and you're like wired because you're so like anxious and like you feel super flustered, and that's not a good way to go about it. It's better to get a good night's sleep. And all this to say, I feel looking back at it now, I'm still trying to process how I'm here at this moment. I'm so thankful to be here, and I know that there's someone out there watching, and maybe it's you, like you're watching this now. You also want to be, you know, achieve whatever similar thing or be in a similar position or whatever you'd set out for yourself. Whatever position you're at right now, I truly believe, like, and I told myself this too, there are at least 10 other people within your position. They don't know what they're doing. They just started switching majors or switching careers. They don't know what they're doing either, but they were able to get what you want to get as well. And that's what I just kept telling myself. And that gave me the encouragement to keep going. So that was a lot, and I entirety of fall semester last year trying to like prepare for interviews and the slide decks and stuff. So I'm gonna take it easier this semester, go out, have fun however I can. So I hope this talk was able to resonate with you in some way. I know like the first two talks it's like me being like super like professional and like out there and like whatever, but just know that I'm here for you. Like let me know whatever questions you have down in the comments. I'm really looking forward to talking with you down there. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye! I think this was the right angle. Where was I? Yeah, I oh my god, I like forgot where I was. But yeah, I mean, I just remember like, yeah, going to Parsons,